Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with our Boom VGC Cup. We are 6 Master Strong and 1 Senior. Senior who happens to be on stream as well. Snowball versus Grave, of course, Theo Delanoy versus Christoph Willems. PSR versus the Terrapagos is always an interesting matchup. First Terrapagos, when it does a Terra, can't hit the Calyrex, and the Calyrex can't hit it with its strong, very boost typey moves as well. So, very excited to see both of these players pop off as they are starting for this game 1 of round 1. With the support Grandma in the back, we have Incineroar Terrapagos lead from Christoph, while the other Calyrex Shadow versus an Incineroar. So now we're gonna see a lot of abilities activate. We've got the Terrapagos Terra Shift, then the Pass 1, of course, from the Shadow Rider. Will be 2 abilities at the same time. And then the faster Intimidate seems to be from Theo's side, or Incineroar on Christoph's side happens to be slower. Maybe for this turn, maybe it's speed time. We'll figure it out. Now, looking between this Calyrex Shadow Rider is of course Terra Normal. You can of course try and click Terra Normal instantly, but when you do, or happen to be that Terrapagos Star. So there goes a lot of thinking already in this first turn, as Incineroar is threatening with a very strong knockoff into that Calyrex Shadow Rider. How this Terrapagos could very well just come on Avatar activation onto the Calyrex. Shadow Rider is going for that Terra Normal, trying to make sure it will not be failing to do anything. This instead might be turning out, such as a knockoff. Ice Shot coming out, going into the Terrapagos Terra Shell, so that will be able to break it. It will not be very effective. Let's see how much it's doing still. Still a little bit of chip, quite a bit actually, thanks to that Life Orb, of course, just as well as the Terrapagos is able to for the Calm Mind. Calm Mind boosting your special defense and Side Shock. Funnily enough, making sure that you are playing on the physical side of it and not that on this for doing a decent amount of damage as it now no longer with Life Orb. Part of Boom, sure that Terrapagos will be at -1, but still +1 special defense. What is the optional switch out here for rapid side, of course, being able to protect this Terrapagos on close contact. Turtle, quite strong. Effective defensive play going very much likely, but like both people are threatened by desertion. Well played. So being basically that, okay, I'm just gonna partner shop, I'm gonna reposition, and I'm gonna try and position. There's no way that Christoph was gonna go for Star Sun plus that will do with my own, as we have the Terra there from Christoph's side. Terrapagos going for that Terra Stellar, making sure that it's just a little bit of a buff in all of its stats, and now making it to take this Side Shock quite decently. As post combat and Side Shock, will it be enough? It is enough for the Terrapagos. So with that little bit of chip, we now are aware that Side Shock, post combat, and earlier Side Shock with the Terra Shock is enough to kill. To go for the partner shot. Let's see if Christoph, his eggs were all in this Terrapagos basket right now, because of course now you have, without being restricted, meaning you have to deal with all these Pokemon still in the back here with the remaining 3 Pokemon. Looking like Overpom right now. Overpom Fire 1, of course, which is able to hit quite effectively without control. So it's going yet again for potential takeout. Wishful not really finding this seem to step the fire types onto the field. Also, now Gale just has to use all of the important information will be going down as soon as we move is the Overcome Fire faster than the Ushbu Rapid Strike, if it's slower, the all things will have to find out. Have the switch out here from the Karak Shadow Rider, trying to keep it for that Sinnoh from earlier, coming back with that into that movement boost are lowered just as well. Like from the Ushbu, making sure that it is just for the turn. As I said, going for the fake out into that Ushbu, not breaking its full. So yeah, because we're going into that Sinnoh stop, but not gonna do all that much damage. Despite it being a critical hit, thanks to that resistant fire cycle. Now, with this per board state, Theo is able to just out again one of these Pokémon while having to respect the turning strikes coming out from Theo's Ushbu as well. So Christoph is making the adaptation here by switching out to his own Urshifu. Rocky Helmet, of course, quite a bit of damage. Is going into the Urshifu, correctly leading. That was going to be the targeted spot there. Turning strikes, of course, being resistant, still doing decent enough damage. This is a little bit a war efficient Pokemon, as these Pokemon can just try and get each other down bit by bit. Now, with this, Theo is still maintaining his speed. Going for the switch, it is the Rillaboom, so it's going to 4-3 and the Calyrex right. It is game 1 as the Grassy Surge is activated, meaning Grassy Train healing for one as Yoshi is going for the Sunshine into the Rillaboom, also not doing all that much damage. But we have this feeble Sinnoh still on the field, which will be able to be hit by the Silver Strikes if Theo so feels it. Looking like that's it. That's one. That is also Rocky Helmet damage. Rocky Helmet damage. Just a little bit more. Chip is chip. But this Sinnoh is also down, meaning it's 4-2. So I think Christoph is seeing the writing on the wall here right now. Theo does seem to have the answer for it all. Doing just a little bit. Overcome and everything. This is a very tall ask as it will be able to quick or something, and Sinnoh is able to come back. Position wise, this is very rough for the stop here. The thought process would be to try and show your Urshifu is able to deal as much damage as possible, but with Calyrex in the back, faster able to deal as much damage as it is. It seems rather hard. Urshifu from Theo's side is switching out, going to back into that, and somewhere of course will be intimidated up again. So close combat will do less, Ivy Cudgel and Horlish will do less, unless of course Grass Glide into the Urshifu, and that will just be enough for it to focus, as Urshifu tends to not be on both. Orange into the Sinnoh, also not doing all that much damage, taking a bit on the broken. So this was a stellar game here, really, by Theo, able to show that Pokemon are the perfect balance. Sure that Alex is not able. I'm gonna check if the Okay, let's think and ponder a bit about the adaptations that could happen. Of course, this stuff can just let it rip and go for a Terra Star Storm turn 1 immediately to punish the Terra Normal onto Calyrex Shadow Rider, but there were a lot of instances where you still had to think about the fake up potential on each side. Because Incineroar was prone to be able to fake out, but it is one of those harder things to decide here, as a Psyshock was a very viable option to deal with Terapagos, as we saw as well. Just dealing with its 2 stabs instead of Draining Kiss might be the way forward here, as Theo is ready for this game 2. So let's take a look at what these players are bringing into game 2. Alright, support Grandma in the back on the beach. We have Fluttermane and Urshifu Gustav switching up completely. Fluttermane being the choice here, as Incineroar and Urshifu are the chosen leads here from Theo. So this time around with Intimidate only is affecting the Urshifu with its close combats, but not so much with the Surging Strikes as this. Fluttermane also not minding attack drop, as it is of course a special attacker. Now Moonblast being able to put this Urshifu to the Sash closet, for example, in our project, and very much deal with Urshifu. But it is one of those things where, of course, fake outs into the opposing Urshifu, keeping your Urshifu alive, even with 1 HP, can make the potential difference here. But I mean, if it's bulky enough to survive, Surging Strikes from a non-Mystic Water boosted could be very effective. So our Moonblast coming Fluttermane into the bear, of course, putting it to focus at, but this bear is now free to move. Has no fear of being picked up or anything, so let's see what Surging Strikes. Ooh, this is looking like it might just survive, depending on the rules here. A critical hit again, and let's take a look, and it is able to hang on just for a turn, meaning that the Urshifu will be able, will have to go through a attack or just a switch out. So this is just going to be a potential speed tie here on both Urshifus trying to aqua jet each other here. What we can definitely find this out, because of course losing your Urshifu is quite an important Pokemon. Certainly if we have, like game 1, if Gustav brought his 2 fire types, like having to decide here what to switch out. So we have the switch out, so not playing these aqua jetting games. So let's take a look at what Gustav did as well. Rillaboom is switching in. Rillaboom with the grass turn will be able to make sure that it is able to take hits from both these Pokemon. Aqua jet, of course, not gonna do all that much damage here, as now Fluttermane is going for the Thunder Wave onto the opposing Incineroar, maybe expecting a switch out or anything really, as now this Incineroar might be fully parried, depending if it is able to move. It is able to move, and it is going for that knockoff. So Fluttermane is suddenly out of the game. Rillaboom on the field can provide another fake out, and we do know that Grassy Glide was quite powerful in the last turn as well. So let's take a look at what Crystal has decided to do. It is Incineroar. Incineroar, Urshifu. These are the teams that happen selected. Fake out can come from this just as well. It's one of those things that we have this what to do. Incineroar health is quite important, certainly versus Calyrex, Shadow Rider, because that is one of those things that you want to try and keep healthy, so still keep a strong knockoff to threaten Calyrex as well. Urshifu is the one switching out. We are figuring out what the last one is, and it is the Terapagos, so no Ogre Pond this time around. Terapagos is willing to take Grass Back or even this fake out as we're moving into this turn right now. Rillaboom is the one switching out, meaning this could just very well be the Ogre Pond again, but no, it is actually the Calyrex Shadow Rider. So let's take a look at Christoph might have gone for a knockoff instead of a fake out. But it's just one shot, making sure that this Calyrex is doing less damage, repositioning himself again to bring in Urshifu just as well. We haven't seen Theo's Incineroar move just yet. Does have access to the Will-O-Wisp, so could very well just go for a Will-O-Wisp into that Terapagos while trying to do that. Plus, but no, it is not able to move. And now this is not a bad position to do just a little bit of damage, making sure that it can protect just another turn, making sure that it full health. and with being at full health, meaning it has his focus action just as well. Now Teo is using his Pokemon pieces very well, trying to make sure that he has the necessary breakthrough of his core. Being able to get rid of that flattening quite soon is going to prove to be very useful as well, because it's giving Kristoff less and less options as well. So looking at that, we have the switch out from the Calyrex Shadow Rider here, going into the possible, yeah, it is that Rillaboom again. Now Rillaboom onto the field, and there's just a Surging Strikes into that Incineroar, willing to take this Rocky Hammer damage, willing to take the Acid Barrage as well as this Surging Strikes will be able to deal with this Incineroar, which was most like one of the most important things to do. And now the score is suddenly 3-3, but the Urshifu has been chipped down quite a bit thanks to that Rocky Helmet. Very nice punish there, as now the Terrapaga still has to move, so it could very well go for a Calm Mind, as it is actually opting to go for that substitute, trying to make sure it is able to not get faked out, get his positioning right, and that is looking very nice there. Choices here, it is going to be that Calyrex Shadow Rider from Theo's side. He's able to deal with, of course, the Urshifu quite easily, but there's also that Terrapaga that you have to have to listen of the full option. Protecting himself with the Terrapaga, trying to make sure to get his full HP back. Don't focus off. It is the one being switched out. It is going back to the Incineroar. Incineroar is able to resist any of these moves that these Pokemon might be clearing out. Great defensive typing. Good way to deal with either of these Pokemon. Intimidate, making sure that Rillaboom does just that little bit less damage as well. Terrapaga is actually opting to go for that Terra. And with that Terra, it is able to hit now onto this Shadow Rider just as well. Not full house. Still behind the substitute. Still boost to its special attack or anything. But this could very well be a very powerful Terra Starstorm. Either of these Pokemon. Grassy Terrain disappearing just as well. Nasty Paw actually is the one coming out into the Calyrex Shadow Rider. And then U-turn into Incineroar. Wow, very daring, are we? Okay. Sorry, just heard in the background. I already know what my double secret is, which is Cali Shadow plus Zamazenta. That's the day one, baby. As now Urshifu is able to be switched in yet again. Terra Starstorm is coming out, making sure that this Urshifu is dealt with. So that was a very good turn from Kristoff's side. As this will deal damage to the Calyrex just for a bit, not all that much, but still very viable damage. As now Rillaboom has to come in back in again, and will provide healing for the Terrapaga again, despite it just and making sure that it gets through here. So very well played there. Rillaboom coming back in has the fake up potential, but having to deal with both the substitute first and then this Rillaboom. Honestly, I feel like Kristoff made very well adjustments here, really, honestly. There's nothing really much to be said. This Incineroar has the pin as it is able to knock off, plus Starstorm, for example, to try and make sure that this Calyrex gets hit. There is just a fake out into that Incineroar slot. It is also +2 Life Orb. Calyrex Shadow Rider, let's take a look at how much it is going to resist this beefy Incineroar. You know, it is doing massive amount of damage because, of course, it is Life Orb. It is strong. It's two Pokemon at the same time. What else can be said? It is just a very strong move to be used. And now within the next turn, Theo is able to get the potential knockout here to the Incineroar as well, getting another boost here, while Kristoff himself is boosting his own Terrapaga, trying to make sure that this Terra Starstorm is going to be a little bit more damage, so that Calyrex might be in range of just an attack plus Terra Starstorm. course, in a weird position as they would like to not be on the field and on the field at the same time as protect from the Calyrex. Shadow Rider trying to keep itself safe. Terra, of course, just going for the Terra Storm, so doing a little bit of damage onto this Hurl Boom, which is of course carrying that Assault Vest, so it's not going to do all that much, but it's still damage is damage. Damage is what you need. This Hurl Boom is still hanging on, being able to keep the initial second one after getting going in. But nonetheless, Woodhammer coming in, making sure that this Terrapagos substitute has faded now, because it is a very strong move. Because it's this as well in grassy terrain. So it's going to go for the knockoff. Unfortunately, not working out, as that was a very good protector. So now, Terrapagos almost at full health. The +2 Calyrex Shadow Rider with a life up, of course, being able to go for a very strong Sky Shot, and Robo being able to go for Woodhammer. The Terrapagos just has to try and hang on for Sinora himself needs what to do here. Terrapagos could just barrel a letter in, or one of those two things. The players will have to decide. There's still an Urge then back for Christoph as well, able to go for a potential in the Shadow Rider if should it still survive. So this is an important turn nonetheless. Going to have decided it is going to be go for that Terra Normal here with that Calyrex Shadow Rider, trying to make sure that it does as much damage as possible. We have the Hurl Boom is not intimidated either, so if it is able to do any damage with Grassy Light, enough damage, and then with the Side Shot combined, this could very well be a KO. Side Shot from the Calyrex going into that massive amount of damage with the Live Orb, of course, damage. And now Woodhammer is faster now. It is a speed tie. Yeah, it's a speed tie. It's a speed tie with the Terrapagos and the Hurl Boom there, meaning only the Isidore is the one to move here. Knockoff goes into the Calyrex. Not enough for a KO just yet. And now we have the endgame of Urshifu plus Incineroar versus these two. This is weird. This is a weird endgame. As Urshifu is not carrying the Mystic Water, Aqua Jet might just not be enough either. So this is just a play, hoping that Urshifu does enough onto the Calyrex Shadow Rider. It is Live Orb. It is of course, it took that knockoff quite good there, but that is an intimidating Incineroar still, and it is still Terra Normal Calyrex. So being in this position, this is looking toughy. So let's take a look. What the Aqua Jet, is it enough? It is not enough for the KO, meaning this Calyrex is now able to go for the Acid Barrage here and KO both of these Pokemon, and Theo will be running away with that win. Very well played. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here with round 2 of our Boom VG Cup. I've got here someone with me with a bye. How are you feeling, Apollo?
I'm doing all right. Unfortunately, was beaten by Elias, who we are seeing stream with his beautiful Zamazenta team. So let's see what's gonna happen.
Yep. So we have Elias versus Nick Fernand. Let's take even themselves. We have Zamazenta, of course, with body press, heavy guard, pretty that people have been opting between heavy slam or behemoth bash, depending on like full Terra fairies as well. Like for example, Calyrex Ice Rider. But Elias has changed his Calyrex to Dragon instead of Grass. Most of the time running the Grass Terra type on it.
Yeah, probably opting to remove that fiery. Probably had some mishaps with Koraidon, possibly. And something else on Elias's team, which is quite unusual, or maybe not that unusual, but Choice Band Rillaboom with the Terra Grass opting for maximum damage. Also, really might be helpful against the Kyogre.
I guess this is the exact team it would be great. If you're able to do it, Serena, you're able to just really click that Grassy Glide button. But unfortunately, that Serena itself is one of the scariest things for it to face off because it is also triple axle.
Yeah, combined with the Terra Ice, it outputs a massive amount of damage, and looks like game 1 started. Let's see what the leads are.
I do think it's because like Kyogre teams tend to wanna like, especially builds like this, wanna overwhelm with like strong water spouts or pulse. So just like being able to be careful as a white guard makes me to have this one. And Elias has took a step further with especially plus 2 power lead and the Amoonguss and Landorus lead, right?
I'd say that this for Elias is extremely well because this Amoonguss and Lander both don't want to take an Icicle Crash, and Landorus also doesn't like taking a Surging Strike, so he could commit a Terra here, but which one? I think.
Yeah. Amoonguss itself is not able to switch out, it does also not carry protect, so or go into that slot freely in a regard, a way. But unfortunately, it is Rocky Helmet, it is one of those things. Risking yourself, Iso Crash will be able to hit it, but it's also Terra Fire, so you're able to double in with that onto that Terra. But Nick will have to commit the Terra turn 1, as that is exactly what he's doing, is Terra onto the Landorus Incarnate here, being able to be Terra Water into resist both major hitting stabs on these Pokemon.
Amoonguss going for the Rage Powder, making sure his Landorus stays as safe as possible. Icicle Crash into him.
Will be able to survive it. Every Amoonguss is that bulky. And now this is important. Surging Strikes will be taking 2 hits instead of 1. Despite what she deals, meaning 2 times, could prove to be part of the late or some holes there. Always good to have, but now the damage dealer. You also saw that the Rush is faster than the Landorus as well. Also quite important note there. Landorus is going for Sandsear Storm, but missing the Chi Power, which was most likely the most important target there, because putting it to Sash at the very least would help already. But at the very least, Urshifu has now been dealt with.
Yeah, one of the targets is down, but Power attack intact with the Sash, like you said, is still a very dangerous Pokemon, especially when paired with Zamazenta, which Elias probably brought. We also have seen that although he committed a Terra, that Landorus didn't actually take any damage, so the Terra was pretty much in vain.
Yeah, so exactly. Most of the time when you use the Terra, you want to use it for a buff or a general way of dealing a lot of damage. But now with this Terra, you're suddenly not looking forward to this next Pokemon on Elias with Raging Bolt being able to thunderclap either Pokemon really. Thunderclap will not be able to get Kyogre in one hit, but coupled up with our Crunch, for example, it could be very effective. So if Elias is choosing to spread out his damage or target one Pokemon, Nick's job right now, try to his focus on one Pokemon, try to make two Pokemon go down at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. You could also opt to go for Snarl to maybe lower the damage, of course. But seeing as that Electroweb has super effective damage on both Pokemon, Thunderclap as well, we do see a switch from the Kyogre going for the Serena, making sure that Thunderclap and Sucker Punch will not be able to work even if it went under it. Now we see a Terra from Helios, Raging Bolt, opting to Terra Fairy to remove that ground root, which is really scary, of course, especially in Life Orb Landorus.
Absolutely.
Deals insane amounts of damage. And Paul is going for the protect, making sure that Sash stays and he knows the value of this focus stat. Lander is going for another Sandsear Storm. Blocked by the Shenpao, but does hit the Raging Bolt for a decent amount of damage.
Yeah, exactly. Electroweb coming out, hitting both targets. Landorus taking half from this Electroweb right now. We already know that the Landorus was slower earlier than the Urshifu, so Elias does know that the potential of the Raging Bolt outspeeding right now are very likely. There's no Terra on the Serena, so it's a Crash Pot. Another Electroweb could prove to be just enough for both of these. Like Elias correctly reading into that Serena has a possibility, so Thunderclap was not gonna work either way. So going with the safe play in that regard, making sure that he's able to get the necessary damage.
Yeah, exactly. Elias seeing every possible outcome and playing to his...
He's Doctor Strange in me. And how many do with 50? But
he sees the one.
He sees the one. He sees the one, and he's going for it exactly. Icy Crash going into it. Serena will not be able to survive this. So now this is going to be very important information, vital information as well. If Landorus is already slow enough, it is slower.
After one speed drop, it is indeed slower.
Electroweb is dealing with the Landorus with a critical hit on top, single target, and our Landorus is not enjoying its time right now.
Yeah, this victory is pretty much guaranteed because Thunderclap, Sucker Punch will always deal just a massive amount of Kyogre, which you won't be able to recover. So, I think it's safe to say that Elias won game 1.
I do agree. This is also really valuable information that you're getting here. Thunderclap being 50% Crunch Thunderclap being enough. Well, can give you information about like and the rolls as well. So with that roll, for example, with Thunderclap, because Skyro has a lot of special defense, I'm not quite sure that this variant, and I'm just as sure Elias is quite sure of it as well. So if it's speedy here, things like, for example, Zamazenta next to Chien-Pao is enough for just one body press to kill, which is insane. Yeah, but that is the power of Zamazenta. And earlier we mentioned about the Rillaboom still being a very strong Pokemon, strong contender for versus that team. Yes, actually not even bringing it.
Yeah, he went for Chien-Pao, protecting it as long as he needed, making sure Icicle Crashes did land into both of Nick's grass types. And that was the Pokemon to keep safe, and yeah, didn't bring Rillaboom in that regard.
It is a very scary thing because, of course, if you're going with your resists all your resists, you're not bringing then your Chien-Pao. But if you don't do that, you have the fear of Amoonguss. Amoonguss itself is a very annoying Pokemon to deal with if you have no access to like fire type moves from the end or even press from the power there. So in that regard, very well played. The Chien-Pao, just the value of a focus sash and the strong offense of ice plus dark just gives Chien-Pao so much value in this matchup, I feel.
Yes, definitely. Also, I would say Chien-Pao is one of his only reliable ways to hit Nick's opposing grass types, because even though Entei is a fire type Pokemon, that Rain makes fire type moves do less damage, which is very dangerous, especially against this Amoonguss who can just like tank an Icicle Crash from Shenpao, so Sacred Fire from Entei in the rain with not do that much damage, I'd say.
It is just as you said. Players seem to have locked in, so let's take a look at what these players might be bringing and what the adaptations are going to be. I'm expecting myself on Nick's side. We are going to see a Roaring Moon. What I'm thinking, at least. The Amoonguss also Pokemon has to come, but I think Nick is going to go at offense and Roaring Moon plus the Landorus.
All right, you have the lead. Yeah,
Bets on the table. Let's take a look. I was very wrong. Well, Elias is sticking to his plan. Now Nick does have the option for Kyogre right now, and this is a very good safe switch because now with Rage Powder plus Water Spout, for example, you're making sure that you're doing a lot of damage, like putting putting the bonus sash, and also Urshifu will be killed if that Kyogre stays at full health.
Yeah, exactly. It is very offensive, as we've seen. Elias going for the double protect, just scouting out to see what his opponent will do. It does appear to be the Rage Powder Water Spout, but as both Pokemon have protected, it's basically a null turn, scouting for some information, didn't get anything.
Okay, but now we are gonna see some speed interactions here with the Kyogre and the Urshifu. We already know the Urshifu was faster than the Landorus, so this might just be a jolly Urshifu, depending on what the Kyogre is. Okay, the Kyogre is timid as well. His Water Spout needs to try and go first. And Rage Powder from the Amoonguss, of course, making sure that it's not going to hit as the crash is going to the Amoonguss. Is it going to be a critical hit or anything? Nope. And we have the info. Water Spout went first, and it is not KOing the Urshifu just yet, so it is a very speedy Kyogre.
Yeah, also probably a bulky Urshifu, especially on the special defense side, if it was able to survive a Water Spout in the rain at full HP. But now that the Surging Strike hits twice again, will the Rocky... Yep, indeed, the Rocky Helmet will be able to take it out. That is quite huge for Nick. He did lose his Amoonguss, but in the process he made sure that his bulky Urshifu bomb doesn't dust it.
Oh. Urshifu gone, Chipao on his sash. This is a very valuable trick. But now Elias is gonna break practice. Oh, we already know that Digibolt was the Pokemon last time. So let's take a look at the answer to as I live and breathe, as Serena is the choice. Serena is nice in a way where it is able to show that Chipao has to go after it, but as I mentioned earlier, body press costs with Chipao could just be for the Kyogre.
Now, that Sucker Punch is not available, but that doesn't matter because both of Nick's Pokemon are slower than it. But unlike last game, Shenpao did lose his Focus Sash, so one hit is all that Nick to make sure that the Shenpao is dead, and that will reduce Zamazental's damage a lot, so maybe he could play defensively and maybe like Elias scout for a move, as we'll see how this turn will play out. We do see a Terrestrialization from Elias, I believe, going into the Zamazental, going for the Terra Dragon, and that's no more Terra Grass. Will resist any water type attacks, so he doesn't need to wildcard to protect himself, he can just go Terra Dragon. And we also see a Terra from Nick, could be into the Kyogre, but it is the Serena going for the Terra Ice.
Terra Ice, so you make sure that, of course, Ice Crash is not able to work. Further, you are very much weak to thing like Body Press. Chipao actually opting to go for the protected. Zamazenta is the only one moving on Elias' side right now. Body Press into that Serena slot, and that's super effective, and that is, of course, a kill, as this Kyogre is now the sole Pokemon on the field. Will be having to deal with Chipao and this Zamazenta right now. It is going to do so with an Origin Pulse, of course, resisted by the Zamazenta. Origin Pulse will do decent amount of damage still, because it is a Kyogre, it is Mystic Water, and it is in Splishy Splashy Rain.
Landorus. I'm not sure that's a Pokemon we want to see right now, especially with Chen Pao still alive and hitting the Terra on Starina. Isopo Crash probably could just, yeah, should one-shot every single Landorus.
But there lies the fear as well. Super Crash has it. There is always that option.
That fear is very true. I myself have this moves waiting off me.
Yeah, so Landorus is able to reach 4% safety. If it was the Ice Crash, Helios is thinking about, yeah, I don't want to miss, I'm not going to commit to that, just crunch plus Camel Heavy Slam. Water Carrier protects, this as well be a very good play. As I think Ice Beam is not enough to kill this Hunter type either. But we have the Ice Crash just hitting into the Landorus, and that will be killed on that end. And now we will finally see what a big splash the French body press will be onto this Kyogre with the body press, and that is just barely missing out on the kill there.
Almost the one hitting off that. Ice Beam into the Chen Pao. The Sword Dog has finally been taken down, but it is little too late.
Yeah, Dragon Dog still on the field, and now Long Neck Dog as well coming in.
Long Neck Dragon Dog. They're both Dragon Dog.
They're both Dragon Dogs. True. He got that dog in. But now with Kyogre only with a little bit of HP left, I don't see a way of Nickov being able to win this, and that is GG. Both these players played phenomenally well. Ilias really being showcasing like, I know my Kyogre matchup, I am gonna show you how it's done, and revealed it left and right. So very well played there by both players.
Yep. Hey, waar zit die knop? Oh, daar.
start, by the way.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today for our well, I want to say finals at one pant. We have Theo, who's also 2-0 right now, but both these players are also 2-0, which is Thomas Baku versus Elias, of course. And let's take a look at their teams. We have, of course, Zamazenta, Chimpao, Rillaboom, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, Entei, and Raging Ball. This team has been just a solid team. Zamazenta has been a little bit of a downcline right now, but we are still seeing original teams with Zamazenta. With this version, with a lot of priority spam next to Zamazenta and Chimpao being like the fastest beings on the planet, next to Fluttermane, of course, and Calyrex Shadow, but still very solid. While on the other hand, speaking of speed, we are going a bit slower because this is, of course, a hard Trick Room team from Thomas' side, which we have seen Michael Der Beste also pilot a version of it. Because I'm not sure who knows on it. But nonetheless, we have the teams here with the, of course, Smeargle, we have Calyrex Ice, the Torkoal, the Ursaluna, Blood Moon, Indeedee, and Hatterene. Sorry, the team sheet I've got in front of me is very French. So, so trying to translate that, not the easiest one to do, but I do know a few things. So let's take a look at what these players are bringing right now. Smeargle and Calyrex are the leads. Smeargle itself does have a few fun options there, as it is, of course, White Guard, Spore, Fake Out, and even Taunt potential. Focus Sash, as well as Elias is opting to go with the Sheer Offense, Team Power plus Entei. Now, the fun thing about this as well is for Thomas, his own is what is it? Terrafire. So it is able to make sure that it's not going to be able to be burned by Pick a Fire, but then again, it will be hit by a Stomping Tantrum then super effectively. With a Crunch could supposed to be very impressive, but of course, this Smeargle on the field is also not something you want to keep on the field. And you have the immediate Terra here from Elias going into that Chimpao, going for that Terra Ghost, making sure it's not able to be faked out right now. So a double up into that Smeargle is very likely to happen right now, potentially, as the Calyrex is protecting itself. So this Smeargle not even going for the fake out, so might just want to opt for a Spore. You have the Crunch going into the Calyrex Ice Rider, and that is not affecting it right now, meaning this Signifier is also not going to affect it right now. Thomas with the perfect read in that regard, making sure it is not as protected as this Smeargle is able to go for the Spore, making sure that his Entei, at least for one turn, will not be able to move, and Thomas doesn't have to necessarily burn his Terra either. Moody will raise its speed sharply as well, meaning this Smeargle is now +2 speed and could even be faster than it. Oh, but instead of Focus Sash, this particular Smeargle is the Eject Pack item. Hatterene is the one opting to get, so it is able to make sure it set up Trick Room on either of these Pokemon. While one of these Pokemon can set up Trick Room, the other one can go for the attack. I do believe the Calyrex could very well attack while Hatterene go quite safe Trick Room. Elias has to decide here what the options he's given, because of course, thanks to that Terra earlier from Chimpao, he lost his good defensive typing here. Calyrex is opting to go for that Terrafire, making sure that it's no longer weak to dark type moves from this Chimpao as well. And with that Terrafire not able to be burned either. So Crunch from Chimpao into that Calyrex, doing a decent amount of damage, as the Entei will be taking his first turn nap. This is of course a mandatory turn, as the damage deal for Hatterene is coming out, doing quite a bit of damage. So this is looking like the Calyrex is opting to go for that Trick Room instead of that Hatterene. With that Trick Room up, now suddenly the speeds have been reversed. The slowest Pokemon is the fastest, and that fastest Pokemon is the slowest, meaning Hatterene and Calyrex are now the fastest things on the field. Were it not for these potential priority moves that these Pokemon carry, Entei does have the option to go for an extreme speed, for example, as the Quick Punch is. This could very well be a protect or an extreme speed. Looking like it could have been an protect there. Chin Power would have been going to protect as well. Psychic from happening into that Entei, so is it enough to get the kill? Barely missing out on the kill. Special defense drop, but now with the Calyrex going for a double up with the Glacial Lance, this will be enough to kill the Entei, and that will raise its attack stat by 1 as well. Being in a Trick Room, that is only positive for it. Now, Entei gone. Just Entei not really doing all that well. Took a nap and got killed. But now, he just has to choose his Pokemon of choices in here. As Hatterene does cover quite the weakness that the Ice is carrying right now, versus that Urshifu right now is covering that with the potential Psychic. Instead, he has his option to go for his own Pokemon there, of course his Zamazenta, being able to maybe deal a little bit more damage to Pokemon. Zamazenta actually opting to go for the Protect here. Make sure it stay for 1 turn. Sucker Punch from Hatterene, doing just a little bit of damage. Shadow Ball will be able to make sure that this is. So that means this Ice Rider is more than likely going to into that Zamazenta slot. Bit of its HP there. Post combat is actually the choice. Calyrex +1 will be able to deal quite a bit of damage there. With Urshifu in the Urshifu being here, it is one of those Pokemon that is able to still deal decent damage, but 2 more turns of Trick. So consider here all the options here. Urshifu is of course Mystic Water, and its Surging Strikes all doing a little bit more damage right now. But at the time, Zamazenta is unable to protect itself. Urshifu could protect itself for 1 turn, but then not able to. Cool. Quite an important turn. All out. Hatterene actually the one switching out here. Hatterene switching out could very well be to that Smurgle slot. Smurgle being able to take out in the next turn. We can go for the spore. We have activated into the Smurgle, doing over 50%. Close combat into that Zamazenta. Not gonna be enough for the kill, but it is doing massive amount of damage as the Zamazenta has dropped its defenses as well. Meaning this Body Press will just do a little bit more and barely missing out on a kill as the Smurgle's attack is raised and is dropped. So the Smurgle definitely one of those options right now. But now Elias is safely able to just protect. It was a very good turn. Smurgle making sure that right at next turn you are able to kill the Smurgle, and followed up you are able to kill Calyrex Ice Rider. Now we still have 1 hidden Pokemon on Thomas's field, while Elias is only having these 2 fighting types on the field. So it is very important that Elias makes sure that there's no Trick Room going up in the following turns, that Hatterene could very well deal with either of these Pokemon quite easily. So Calyrex is the one opting to switch out and knows the writing on the wall. It's Orcall as the last Pokemon, so Orcall as your last Pokemon, putting up the sun, making sure that Surging Strike does less as well. But both of these Pokemon of course opting to go for Protect here, as the Smurgle has the option to go for the Spore. Unfortunately, of course, being protected there for the Urshifu spot there. Twisted Dimension return on, so fast is fast, slow is slow. Special defense on Smurgle goes up while special attack goes down. So Smurgle is still quite slow, as is this Torkoal, so this could very well be potential of dealing a lot of damage, but unfortunately Torkoal is a very, very defensive beat, and can just as well be able to survive 1 hit from Torkoal. Torkoal needs to be doubled up by either of these Pokemon because they will be able to survive a single target one. You don't really want that Agro Zamazenta will be fainting to one of these moves from either of these Pokemon. But the Body Press from the into the Torkoal, Surging Strikes just as well, meaning that Thomas has decided to let his Torkoal go, but in return, this Smeargle is able to spore one of these Pokemon and giving him the option to Trick Room in the following, as the Smeargle is able to, of course, follow me as well. No, wait. Provoke is Provoke? Yeah, Provoke is follow me. Urshifu being asleep right now. We are nearing the ending turn. Speed rose sharply from the Smeargle, so it's now +1 speed if I recall correctly. Being +1 speed, it is going to be potentially be faster than the Urshifu, but not necessarily faster than of course the Zamazenta. Now Calyrex on the field, so follow me plus Trick Room could seal the deal here. It will all be dependent on what these last few turns are going to do. So, trying to think here what the potential options are. Smeargle being able to follow me, make sure the Zamazenta, the Calyrex can attack for one turn, but both the Hatterene and the Calyrex are very low. So as soon as the Urshifu wakes up, it will be able to Aqua Jet either one of them to try and KO them. We'll be able to KO the Calyrex for certain, but then there's still the Serena, which is live or chipping itself down. Urshifu still asleep, of course, for his mandatory sleep. And the Spore from the Smeargle, it is faster than the Zamazenta from this stage already at +1. Meaning right now this is a very safe Trick Room potentially, as the Zamazenta stays asleep and Calyrex has put up the Trick Room. Now still the option remains of the Follow Me as well. Follow Me makes sure that one of these Pokemon isn't attacking into the Calyrex, giving the option, redirecting any sort of Aqua Jet. Smeargle actually one retreating right now, so depending on if any of these Pokemon wake up from Alias' side, both Pokemon have taken their first mandatory sleep. They need to try and get awake, but Urshifu still asleep unfortunately, as the Calyrex is going for the close combat, and that will be enough for the KO there onto the Calyrex. From the Calyrex onto the Zamazenta. Unfortunately in that regard, Urshifu having 2 turns sleep, and now the potential third even will try and have to take a lot of moves to try and win this one, because this is not the easiest job description, as you would say, as Urshifu is waking up with the Detect. And Psychic, of course, and not picking the Urshifu right now thanks to Detect, close combat as well. The issue at hand is, of course, you are not able to survive this. The sun has faded, so you are able to KO the Hatterene, but then there's still a Smeargle and, of course, the Calyrex itself. This is still very tough here as now close combat. As an advantage. We will be able to find out how much right now. This is by doing about 8. Again. Now with this, Smeargle is able to come in. It is able to peek out, or it is able to do a lot of things. So earlier that Aqua Jet was enough to KO the Smeargle there, but being in this position, I think who is going to be trying to be Follow Me to make sure the Calyrex stays safe. Even at 1 HP, this Calyrex is between life and death right now. This is honestly very telling how pushes the match as the special defense force, but the special attack. But it will go down to an Aqua Jet. Will the Calyrex, this is if that is for me. Like, I do feel that Provoke could be taunt. If it's taunt, that is a win for Ilias then. Very sorry for my French, not good. If it's not for me, that does if the Smeargle is not able to do anything until the Urshifu is able to. Yeah, of course you can raise all your stats, but as long as Urshifu is fit, no problem. Okay, I do think that Provoke might be just taunt then. Might be too long this right now. Good luck. Opening. It is taunt. It is not follow me. My bad. But that does mean, well, it won't be not gonna first this Earthshift. Kalos just needs to wake up once. Alto once just needs. Well. Smurgle is able to struggle while I'm max attacking with K with it. Of course, that the tall ask really. Thomas has to decide turns like what are the enemies that. This is safe, very safe. It's always the fine option. There's not a lot to be said about this, but of course we do have the options. The games that we talk about. Like Alex being able to survive can very well be that follow me struggle that were a completely different game. Of course, it was not the thing. So in that regard, we did see Qin Pao as the lead. I'm trying to think if he was had a lot of other things he could be doing, but very hard to say. Might not want to close combat. As long as the was on the kill, a very awkward because of course you can't take out the Ente or the Qin Pao when they go Terra Ghost, and the inner focus ability, making sure that it is not able to be intimidated and it is not able to be flinched, so fake out would not happen. Either way, what are the adaptations that Thomas can make? I do believe that a follow me with para EC French apparently, the ED could be the way. ED being able to take a crunch most reliably, depending on spread, of course. It is Rocky Helmet, so I do believe they could very well take a crunch. But it has to take something. It will most likely go down. So then you have to prioritize getting these KOs inside the trick room with the very few turns that you've been given as well. So, looking at the option, what do we select here? Was the wrong button. Sorry, I'm looking from a distance here, but I do believe that the NDD might be the way to go. Like blocking all the priority, follow me. And maybe Ursaluna plus being able to really allow the massive amount of damage onto Elias's teams. Let's take a look at what these players have brought, because they have settled in, they're ready, and they are hungry for these points on this cup. We have the Smurfs and Counter lead from Thomas. Now again, have the Entei plus the Qin Pao again. So, 4 does seem like a rather safe play here from this Smurgle, as it is able to do that. Like Thomas tried it in the first game, it worked out. Honestly, I think it could very well work out in game 2 as well. It is just dependent, of course, on Pokémon that Thomas has still in fact. Considering this, I do feel like quite safe. Just a powerful attacking to one slot, and we are aware that it has to like it's out as well. But Elias has decided again. The Terra is to go for the Terra Ghost, making sure it cannot be faked out. Safety. Losing someone good defensive cycle against this particular match. Generally, it's only in this match that is decent, but it will have to. As Thomas is just. Thomas has also gone for the Terra. Terra fire, trying to make sure nothing super effective really hit here as he is going to take this. Oh no, it's the Smurgle taking this crunch and Smurgle going down in and the MPU stumping tantrum as well. So very hard call from Elias' side as literally 50% there as no spore, no sleep, and as he will set up the trick. So with this time around, no sleep for Thomas for him to help here. So he will have to try and deal with both these Pokemon right now. I do believe something like could be either a Gyarados or even the Ursaluna could be the option of choice. Okay, because we've seen the protocol as well. But it is actually going to be that Katarine. Gives me the idea that there might be a switching coming in. As that is exactly what's happening. It is Winizir female, or also known as Indeedee female. And Indeedee female is able to set up that psychic terrain. Is able to set up that psychic terrain, meaning that there is the potential for a very strong standing force, because it has been this option and going like on both ends. This is actually impossible. Even expand force. Wait, does it not have expanding force? Maybe I need to check that. I can translate the French here. Let's take a look. It doesn't have expanding force. It's psychic. Okay, I didn't know. And the Indeedee is also does not have an attacking move. Okay, so but Chimpower is the one being switched out into Rillaboom. Elias revealing in this game through that Rillaboom is a Pokemon that he could have just brought as the adaptation that Thomas would have brought. And this is seeming like turn on turn leads. Well, that's by Elias here, as there's still a Healing Wish coming out as well from this Indeedee. Trying to make sure that this Trick Room will be set up as well. Indeedee going down, and now only this Entei is the one move, and is going for that Sacred Fire into that Katarine, and it is going to be enough with that critical hit on top. It is Life Orb Entei. It was nowhere gonna survive. Yeah, a lot of damage has been done, but now Alex is the only Pokemon on the field, as this Indeedee just sacrificed himself. The Monster Reborn here, as Alex will be able to heal himself to full. Unfortunately, with that, it does mean that no, there's Healing Wish and Wish. Slot. Wrong slot. No, Fika was not an option there, but the very least being able to Glacial Lance here. But this is just a little bit awkward. There's no other way to say this. Sometimes we'll be able to not pick up the skill, because of course I completely forgot about Chimpower. And as long as these Pokemon are on the field with priority moves potential, this is looking like a wash this time for Thomas. Meaning that Elias has most likely 1 hour here. Depending if Theo Delano is able to win their match, I'm willing to put them on for a Tug Finals. Okay, go for exchange speed, and that is GG. Well played by both these players. Good, well done. Oh, they're hugging it out. Oh, they're kissing. Oh, they're really kissing. Whoa. You didn't see it on camera, but they were kissing. Yeah. All right, call. All right, but that means that we will be back quite soon. Hallo, hallo. Niet mee kasten?
Ik ga meteen staan.
Voilà, doe maar. Doe maar. Dus, nou, dus doe je. Als je iets vindt dat je leuk vindt, mag je dat pakken.
Oké.
Ah, dat kan ook. Zo'n ding in prijspacks niet. Oh, dat moet je eens vragen. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here back again with TUC Finals this time. And TUC Finals meaning this is actually, we're not actually really playing this, but this is not in the tournament because both of these players are 3-0. And honestly, I just wanted to enjoy this match. It is Elias versus Theo Delanoy. Theo we've seen in round 1 and Elias we've seen in earlier matchup as well. The last 2 rounds. So we have Zamazeta versus Cataract Shadow Rider with a balanced team. With a, you know, the only thing that's really different is Incineroar on Theo's side, which is on Snowball side, has become an Entei. While on the other hand, Urshifu and Rillaboom are still the same, but it's a choice band Rillaboom on Elias' end. So Zamazenta with a lot of physical, offensive Pokemon, and then the Raging Bolt. Being able to deal with the Electroweb and Snarl, trying to maintain a good balance, work-life balance, honestly, for this team. While we have seen many iterations of Cataract Shadow Rider with, honestly, these 6 really, as you have Urshifu being able to deal with Pesky, fighting Pesky Dark types, Rillaboom and Incineroar for the perfect balance of trying to switch out and maintaining a good composition and being able to be sure of that they're just safe with their Cataract Shadow Rider. And then Tornadoes being able to provide Tailwind, and Ogerpump being able to provide that redirection for even 2 hits of any sort of move. But now, let's take a look at what these players have chosen to lock in, because it is exciting. It is Zama versus Cataract Shadow Rider. It is Sword and Shield. It is Sword and Shield making a comeback here. Trying to see what these players are bringing. Forgot to hit the record button. This is recording now. Welcome players they're watching the YouTube video later. So Elias versus Theo, TUC Finals. We have Incineroar and the Cataract Shadow Rider. Both of them are 3-0. It is then of course Raging Bolt and Rillaboom on Elias' side. So the Assault Vest really providing a little bit of bulk and beef against this Shadow Rider. But on the other hand, you are prone to be faked out, for example, and this Intimidate is also affecting this Rillaboom quite a bit, as this is a choice band Rillaboom being able to do quite a bit of damage as long as it is allowed to do, because a fake out could very well just happen. A good strong Wood Hammer could prove to be useful as well. Sinnoh can only target one of these Pokemon, and the other one could be targeted by the other Pokemon, of course, because Protect is a very viable option, of course, from the Cataract Shadow Rider, and just Parting Shot from the Incineroar, for example, to reposition and get another Fake Out or even Intimidate at a later date or time. So, looking at all the options, I do feel like Elias locked in quite fast here. I do believe it was a U-turn from Rillaboom. As long as it is Protect from the Cataract Shadow Rider, as I mentioned, that it is a U-turn from Rillaboom into that Incineroar. Despite Choice Band, despite Intimidate, it's still decent damage, as the Rocky Hammer will make sure that this Rillaboom gets chipped out just a little bit. Now, Incineroar is the next one to move, and Incineroar has options such as Bullets. People really want to be hit by a Willis. Zamazenta or the Chimpao want to be like this. So this is the situation. The possibility here is very much could be just simple. It's hitting the Chimpao. The flash will blow up, its attacks that will be halved. Well, so not really the grandest. Is going for that Electroweb, making sure that this goes just a bit slower as well. Decent amount of damage, honestly. Speed drop will prove useful, but the knockoff from Incineroar doing quite a bit of damage, boosted thanks to that Chimpao being on the field as Sword of Roof, make sure that all physical damage amplified as well. But now Chimpao is on the field, it is able to do quite a bit of damage onto this Karak Shadow Rider. But it stays in, of course. That is the forever question. Is Karak Shadow Rider really staying in a position such as this? Very rather safe switching, for example, could be Ultra Rapid Strike, being able to resist both stats from this Jim Powell. But and you could just play a step further and just stay in and just do as much damage as possible, which is very viable option just as well. But Eli's going with his gut, as there's just a Terra, there's no switch out, and the Terra will be going into that. Karak Shadow Rider is going for that Terra normal, so it just wants to get in some damage. Terra normal now no longer weak to any sort of dark type moves. Raging Ball, go for the Thunderclap, not working out, as this nasty claw is coming out from this Karak Shadow Rider, trying to boost itself just a little bit. As the active crash from Chipao going into that Karak Shadow Rider, doing over 50%, which is very nice. But a Will-O-Wisp just as well from Isidore will be make sure that this Chipao is just doing that much more or less. 50% to the Karak Shadow Rider, and then of course Raging Bolt not really providing anything as it went for the Thunderclap, while these Karaks went for the nasty pot right now. So now a protect from the Karaks could just very well happen. Parting shot from Isidorus is super duper safe, in my opinion. Calyrex, of course, wants to be basic, and it's just going for the acid. +2 rival boosted, that is a double knockout. That was an insane play to me. As both these Pokemon are now down and out for the count. And another boost, so that means this character is now +4, losing a little bit more of its HP. Parting Shot is not effective. Wait a minute, Parting Shot on himself to make sure he's switching out. What a play, trying to reposition himself now. So not only being at +3, but still amazing play if you want to be able to position yourself, as Tornadus is the Pokemon of choice being in. And it is able to provide very good support here with the Tailwind, trying to make sure that nothing really can stop it. But now Zamazenta onto the field, Rillaboom onto the field, Side Shot will do devastating damage to any of these Pokemon right now. So this is just going to be a question of like, how much is Grassy Glide going to? Because Grassy Glide is going to be able to devastating amount of damage onto this Calyrex. Of course, we already know that Incineroar is still in the back, and Incineroar has potential to just come back in and just deal as much as possible to this as well. So, of course, it is considering, of course, if Incineroar is the one being switched in, as it is Protect there, but no Incineroar, so it seems, so that does mean that there's just going to be a Rain Dance, trying to make sure his Bleeding Storms are being hidden. Now Grassy Glide into that. Tornado's doing for a little bit of chip. Body Press just as well. A little bit of chip still hanging on strong here. But being in this position, you don't really want to get Grassy Glide to provide Choice Band Rillaboom without any sort of repercussions. So being in this position, I do feel like switch is warranted, or even a switch is warranted, or on the Calyrex side, or on the Borea side. But yeah, putting on the Rain could be a viable option here for the potential Urshifu Rapid Strike in the back still. Or just wanting to hit your Bleeding Storms, not even playing with the game. If Bleeding Storm needs to hit, it needs to hit. You need to put up that Rain. Now the switch up from the Calyrex Shadow actually. So +3, no more. It is going to be into that Incineroar. Now within this position, this is very nice because you're able to Bleeding Storm because the Zamazenta is the main damage dealer here. Tailwind coming out from this Tornadus here. It is Grassy Glide plus the Body Press coming out into that instant slot, if I'm not wrong. Rocky Helmet damage quite a bit, but is the Behemoth Bash actually and still not enough to KO it. Wait, Bash. That's wrong on my T sheet. So Bohemian Bash, not really working out right now. As Rillaboom also lost its terrain, and this is looking like game over. Honestly, Teo really overwhelming Elias right now. So look, finals getting kinda strong, you know. But yeah, Wygar coming out, trying to at least protect the Rillaboom for just another turn. Constant Teo hassle on every end. Oh my god, like there's no escaping this. Teo knew exactly what was gonna happen time and time again, and now this is looking super duper rough. What do you do? Now Incineroar's Terras as well. He has 2 Terras. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, it's just a believe in storm, making sure that the Rillaboom gets killed. Zamazenta will not be killed just yet, but the Incineroar is faster, can be faster thanks to the Tailwind, but it is not. Body press, goodbye Incineroar, and now it's Soul Zama versus the world, and with a Life Orb Calyrex plus Bleakwind Storm hitting. This is seemingly like there's no real answer to it because, of course, this is very rough. So, well played there. Good games. The battle is cancelled. Yeah. Well, Teo really proving that how much he's grown as a player because our juniors and seniors kind of bullying. Why aren't our masters like this? Me saying that with most master CPU. Why aren't our masters like this? Elias rewatching this game, he's gonna flame me so hard. Elias, if you're watching this, you're gonna have to say you love me before you criticize me. I'm just saying, I'm not responding otherwise. All right, but I'll be real. I think Teo, like being able to Acid Barrage while he saw that the Thunderclap was a very much viable option. Thunderclap plus Sucker Punch was a super viable option that would have KO'd the Calyrex Shadow still. I do believe it would have killed. At least plus the Life Orb chip as well. I don't think that would have been worth it, but like he went for it, and sometimes there's these plays that you're like, oh yeah, this is safe. This is the safe thing to do. And you get punished for them. There's just no way around it. Sometimes your opponent says, nah, I go cray mode now, and you just have to respect it. It's been told to me there's 3 levels of play as well. So you have your first line of play, which is just hit super effective. Hit them just because you can. The second level of play is then predicting like if they're switching out or if they're not switching out. Level 3 is going one step further by predicting like not even going for the switch out, but if there's no switch out, and then there's like a sort of triangle where play 1, please play 3, play 3, please play 2, and play 2, please play 1. And that is just the triangle of things, of course. And you have a lot of plays because with this VGC, you have a lot of like coinciding turns as well, where it's just where you have it that you can make a play 1 play on your left Pokemon and play 2 on your right Pokemon, but it's just dependent on like what the level of insight is that you have. Because, for example, you have this Incineroar, we have this Calyrex Shadow Rider. The first thing that you think of when you see this Incineroar wants to fake out, and this Calyrex wants to potentially nasty plot, which are both very viable options right now. Intimidate, of course, is not going to work on this Entei, and this Zamazenta, his Beaming Badge, is going to do less. Focus, but then fake out doesn't work onto the Entei. So, fake out onto the Zamazenta would be, that's what you see. Another play that you could potentially do is Era goes to the Incineroar, go for Will-O-Wisp onto the Zamazenta slot, burn that slot, and then you are in second level of play because you are predicting that the body press is coming into it. So then there's a third level play where you are like, okay, he's not gonna do that. So it's like considering a lot of options. Sometimes it's very awkward in some positions, of course, because this position alone is weird. I want to say this Entei is Paranormal. It is able to just go for Paranormal and just Speed, Sacred Fire, whatever you want, because it doesn't really mind this Incineroar being on the field. The Protect onto this Calyrex could happen, and then a Partner Shot just as well. Unlike that, we are seeing something else. We have the switch out here, going into that Tornadus. Tornadus is able to go for that potential Reinhardt, making sure that this NP is doing less damage as well. Now Protect from the Calyrex Shadow, also making sure that it stays safe for just a turn. Take a fire into that Calyrex Shadow slot. We'll be making sure that that is fixed. Now, you could have done a pin potentially, like if you went for the body press plus take a fire onto the left Incineroar slot there. You could have then, for example, KO'd Incineroar, and if Calyrex didn't go for Protect, Sacred Fire would have still gone into it. But then you have Paraghost Incineroar, you have Twitch on Incineroar. There's so many options that you still have to consider. Like, these pins are very strong, but they don't always work out as well as top players might think. Rain Dance is coming out, making sure that Sacred Fire is doing less damage. Of course, Burning is still very nice, as it's just going to be a nasty plot here from this Calyrex Shadow Rider, as the Behemoth Bash is coming out into that. But now Stomping Tantrum is also stronger, thanks to missing, and another miss is not gonna help it here. Now this previous Intimidate is really obstructing the Zamazenta from dealing any sort of damage right now, as now +2 Calyrex Shadow Rider is one of the scariest things you can go up against, because now you have to know what your opponent is clicking. Shock or that and you also have Taunt. Protect, that is also a very viable option, which is another layer of thinking that you have to do. So Entei going for the Protect here, as the Taunt is coming out exactly as mentioned. So Zamazenta is not going for a White Guard, but he's going for trying to go for something else. Shock, okay, Ilya's correctly reading into this right now, as Behemoth Bash could just go into that Calyrex slot just yet again. Shock will be able to kill, but like slowly chipping down this Calyrex is also not really a bad option here, because of course it is Life Orb, it has no way to heal its health. As soon as this thing is gone, it makes the game a little bit easier, as you're able to just go for some strong attacks. It is switch out, probably most likely going back into that Incineroar right now. Incineroar, of course, being able to intimidate the Zamazenta for yet again, so Behemoth Bash is doing even less damage right now. And now we have the Terra coming out from Elias. It is going to be that Entei going for the Terra normal, trying to make sure that if you want to hit this Entei, you will have to shock it, because if you don't, I will make sure to deal some damage onto you. As it is just going to be that side shock, it is at +3, this Life Orb, and Entei is not going to be able to survive that. Goodbye, Father Entei. But now Zamazenta is still on the field, still a Pokemon that can dish out some damage at the very least, while this Calyrex is slowly building up this snowball effect. Behemoth Bash coming in and barely missing out on the KO, like in the red, but that is still 2 more hits from this potential Calyrex. Calyrex is at +3. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be enough to KO this Raging Bolt. Even Zamazenta could very well survive still one. But that is the question. Of course, what is the thing that's going to happen, because Incineroar has come in, has the potential to just fake out just as well any of these 2 Pokemon. Faking out the Raging Bolt is the safest thing you can do, as this is going to make sure that this Raging Bolt is not able to attack for at least 1 turn. Astral Barrage at +3 and the Life Orb boost. Let's take a look at how much this is doing. It is just a kill on Zamazenta, and Raging Bolt barely surviving on 3 HP there. As the Calyrex is taking a lot of chip and has 1 more hit in him. But Elias has only 2 Pokemon to try and win versus the rest of the team. Now there's no fake out option anymore. Brandling will be healing, so if, for example, this Calyrex goes for the Protect here, you do not want it to go for the Protect. Honestly, you just have to call if it's gonna Protect. But like at this point, the Calyrex doesn't mind just painting, I believe, because of course it is already like it has 1 more hit in him. That's it. And there's 2 Pokemon on the field that can protect themselves. You can reposition to like get another fake out in, but being at this position, I feel like Calyx is just able to let it rip. You can play overly safe, but you don't need to at all. Rillaboom choice band is very strong, but is it strong enough to KO this Incineroar on full HP? I do not believe so. As the Thunderclap is able to KO this Calyx Shadow. The high horsepower is coming out from the Rillaboom into that Incineroar, and it's not enough for the KO, as I mentioned, and the Rocky Helmet will tip it down just a bit. Knockoff coming out, and Raging Mode is down, and it's only the Rillaboom versus the world. And this is looking like Duck Finals has been decided. Our seniors are kicking our ass right now. The rain has stopped, but there's still a very flying type in the back here, being able to Bleak Storm left and right, and that does seal the game. So not really able to do anything, and that is GG. Duck Finals is won by Theo. Well done, Theo. GG's. Alright. Nu mag jij naar stream gaan. Het is challenge tijd, hè? Alright.
Oh ja, zo.
Ja, dat wou ik ook gewoon zeggen.
Dat maakt het met de echt niet.
Oké. Alright, ik ga even verplaatsen. Nick komt hier. SQ charge the bear. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Nou. Begin maar direct, hè. Hello, hello, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here back again. We have our first round of our challenge this time around. We have Nick Fanan versus Theo Delanoy. We just saw Theo win his Duck Finals versus Elias. But now we are on to the challenge part of this format. We haven't seen this particular matchup yet, so it is Kyogre plus Roaring Moon. And Roaring Moon itself is a very nice Pokemon to have in this particular matchup because knockoff, making sure that Calyrex does way less damage, Tailwind to make sure that you're faster as well. So having some very nice options here, if I do say so myself. Side Shock, of course, not affecting this Roaring Moon. Side Shock, Side Shock hitting on the physical side is a little bit better for it because Kyogre takes just a bit more, as Kyogre is a bit more of a special defense beast. But being said like that, we saw earlier that Nick was playing against Elias and not really able to go around things like focus. But the one thing that Theo has that could try to like a focus sash is that overpump rock, because of course it's sturdy and a wood hammer could very well deal a lot of damage as well. Not relying on Power Whip, which of course can miss. You're able to make sure you're able to get a hit with the wood hammer, but you will get process. But the nice thing as well is the Serena being able to provide nice support thanks to its cool and just the ability, making sure that the fake outing from this Incineroar Rillaboom duo is not going to affect it. So, enough said. Let's take a look at what these players will be bringing for this game one, as it is Kyogre versus Calyrex Shadow Rider. Both Pokemon very much liking to hit a little spread moves. Of course, Kyogre's spread move of choice, not always hitting, thanks Origin Pulse, of course, but we have the leads. It is Urshifu Rapid Strike, and of course the Tornadoes incarnate from Theo's side, while it's Roaring Moon plus the Kyogre. So immediately Theo adapting to the potential Roaring Moon, being able to deal a lot with the Calyrex Shadow Rider, and Theo adapting immediately by making sure that his Urshifu could close combat this to hell in fact, make sure that if there's going to be a Terra, it might be on the Roaring Moon, and that's one less resist to any sort of Astral Barrages as well. Surging Strikes, of course, also being able to just do massive amount of damage inside this range that Kyogre just put up. Bleak Wind Storm from this Tornadoes just as well, providing to be quite useful. So now this is just a positioning where what is the option you want to do. Flying acrobatics, of course, if you're hard calling a close combat, of course, if there's a Tail plus Surging Strikes to that Roaring Moon, this is Roaring Moon probably gone, and you fix it with Terra, you don't have to, and then you also don't have further deal options. So let's take a look at what the decision here is. Roaring Moon, of course, has nice special defense, so I wouldn't mind taking any sort of damage from this Tornadoes itself, but that pesky secondary effect, that is that speed drop with the Bleak Wind Storm, could prove to be quite annoying, as the Terra Flying is activated onto this Roaring Moon, taking to the skies, as now Tailwind from the Boreas is being set up, +2 speed, close combat into that Kyogre. So Kyogre still hanging on, being able to make sure that it lives just for one more turn. The special defense drop will make sure that his acrobatics from this Roaring Moon will be putting this Urshifu on its 1 HP left. But now this Kyogre needs to move. Isn't going for the Water Spout or the Origin Pulse. It is Water Spout, not going to do all that much damage to the of course the Boreas, which is the Tornadoes, but it will be enough to kill at least that Urshifu. You have committed your Terra on a play where you didn't really need it as of this time, but now Tailwind has been set up, and now your Roaring Moon has a little bit of an issue because Bleak Wind Storm plus IV Culture could prove to be very well the end of this Roaring Moon, and you don't want to switch it out because it will lose its speed as well, which is not a nice thing either. Switching in your Serena will just be hit by a strong Bleakwind Storm, so Theo is really giving the Masters a run for their money every time on stream here. So Theo, so considering all the options, you don't really have a lot of them, which is why I thought you should put up your, make sure that you put up your tail in first and then going for the attack, because with boosted energy you will be the fastest thing in the field then. But now you are surviving a night because of a one turn, but now you need to hope that this Song is not enough to KO this Kyogre. It is quite Spadeffi, the Kyogre, but is it Spadeffi enough? It's not, unfortunately. The Kyogre is going down. You have protected one turn. There's still 2 more turns of Tailwind left to be used. Speak out, you could make sure that the Yoko was not able to move. Unfortunately, you don't. So with the options at hand, it's Serena that will have to do it, and there's the worst part is there's still no Calyrex onto the field either. Within this position, a Tailwind from the Golden Moon would have been very nice, because that could have brought out your Scarf Urshifu, which was able to deal quite a bit of damage, certainly in the rain. Being able to Surge Strike pretty much everything except for the Rillaboom or its own Urshifu Rapid Strike on Theo's side. But being in this position, we already know that 1 or 2 isn't here on the field. Maybe not neither of them, as kind of Shadow might be the last Pokemon. It is going for that Terra Rock, boosting its own Rock type moves, boosting its defense just as well. So Triple Axel will not be able to KO it either way either. So this is looking very rough. Ivy Cudgel is coming out. This is Overpop Rock with a very rocky attribute, and that is just a Roaring Moon that is gone. Take to the skies, no more, as this rock will be hurled at you with a big stick attached to it. Now, this Pokemon on the field is going to be Bleakwind Storm with a single target. Serena is able to survive it, which I'm honestly surprised about. But Triple Axel not doing it, because now Overpop is a single rock type Pokemon. It's just a rock type Pokemon, and with the defense boost, doesn't really mind this. The last Pokemon to come in is that Urshifu. Woodhammer from the deals with the Urshifu, as the Tailwind is still set up, and the Bleakwind Storm will deal with Serena. So ew, just proving like, okay, I don't really need my connection rider necessarily, maybe in the end game, but for now, I'm just gonna use your arena and just completely decimate and because these were the level of play that was very impressive to see. Very well played there by Theo. What are the adaptations that I can see happen? I feel like Roaring Moon is a good Pokemon. If you lead it, you're expecting the Connection Rider to be there. But I do think the Roaring Moon is a Pokemon that you can switch in, for example, at a later time as well. I don't think you need to lead the Roaring Moon, but I do think you need a way to deal with the Urshifu Rapid Strike immediately. Which you do. You have a Rocky Helmet Amoonguss, which is able to take any hits from this Urshifu. And in return, you're able to potentially spore 4 of the 6 Pokemon on Theo's side, depending if the Rillaboom or the Ogerpon are the ones being chosen. Of course, Tornadus would be able to taunt in that regard, but setting up the rain for Theo seemed to be the mistake here that Nick might have made here, because just being able to Bleakwind Storm and go through his team very hard. Nick is really thinking about like the potential options here, but seems to be sticking to the same plan here, as I do think Theo might just be doing the same. So maybe we'll see some play adaptations here from both these players, because right now Nick knows that close combat wasn't necessarily meant to go into that Golden Moon, but it could just very well do it just. So now you have 2 levels, now you have different ways of thinking. You could just close combat this Roaring Moon plus Tailwind, or you could just start Surging Strikes in. If Nick commits to his Terra, gets it wrong, he loses his Terra Pokemon, he loses the potential really of making sure to get that terrain up, while Theo is not losing all that much, as Theo just wants his own tailwind as well. So, have the Terra flying onto the Rolling Boom, going hard for that. Let's see if Theo did consider this and going for the Searching Strikes, or instead is going for... You actually see the Rolling Boom moving first, so that means this Tornadus is actually not going for the tailwind this time. Origin Pulse from the Kyogre going into both these Pokemon. Origin Pulse not KOing the Tornadus. As Living Stone is hitting both of these targets. Is there a speed drop happening? No speed drop. Close combat. Not enough to kill the Rolling Mood. So this seems to be a very good turn here for Nick on one way. On the other way is there is now a very likely chance of just Aqua Jet going into that Rolling Moon slot. Aqua Jet, but you are getting rid of 2 Pokemon immediately. So that's just like the things you have to consider. Are you fine with losing your Rolling Moon? Have the tailwind. I think Nick is fine with losing his Rolling Moon here in that position. It is the Aqua Jet coming out. Rolling Moon will go down with the rain. Terra has been used, but could very well proven to be very useful right now. This Kyogre now, last Pokemon to be able to move. That is just going to be a Wild Card. Try and make sure that both these Pokemon are gone, and both Pokemon are gone. So, 2 Pokemon down on Theo's side, 1 Pokemon down on Nick's side. Tailwind is up on both ends, but Theo's tailwind has just been set up freshly, as now the next Pokemon to come in might decide what the passage of turns will be. Urshifu is the choice in the matter for Nick, as on the other end, Theo has chosen for the Ogerpon Rock. Being able to follow me, being able to redirect anything the Calyx might be throwing out at him, but both have set up the tailwind. The fastest Pokemon on the field will be the Urshifu Rapsack, as it is the Choice Scarf variant, of course. Kyogre will be slower than, most likely slower than the Ogerpon and the Calyx Shadow Rider being a tailwind, but you want one big KO here right now. Wait a minute, what the hell? The Scarf Urshifu is not faster, but it is able to hang on here at the very least. So Adamant Urshifu Rapsack versus timid Calyx, I think, as Surgeon Strike is going out into that Ogerpon slot, being able to make sure that that is at least dealt with. And now Kyogre is the sole Pokemon here. Is the sole Pokemon here being able to still deal damage here. If it is going to be that Origin Pulse, and not, hopefully not missing, of course. Origin Pulse manages to connect, and that is not a knockout just yet, actually. Wow. As Kyogre is opting to go for the Protect here, as the Barrage will go faster. We'll be able to kill the Urshifu. I do believe switching out the Urshifu was the play here. I mean, it is carrying Aqua Jet, so you would have been... Oh wait, no, never mind. It's Live Orb as well. I forgot that the Calyx was Live Orb, so it is going to be fading to itself, and that makes the score 1-1. Yeah, Urshifu not max speed actually being slower than the Calyrex was quite a surprise to me, I'm not gonna lie. And that's timid?
And it's non-max.
Okay, wow, this is Adamant non-max speed. Okay, so that's insane. That's insane to me. At least be full speed. You have Scarf already. Like, commit to it. 244 is the speed test, so it's lower than 244 invested.
Only lost the speed test.
Or he lost the speed. Also very possible. Twice? Tail was up on both ends.
Oh.
Yeah. Alright, so let's see if players are changing their minds about their leads, because Nick has stuck to the same thing as has Theo, and both of them have now won a game. Nick knows now the importance of Tailwind as well for this matchup, but we'll have to see what he decides to do here. As yeah, Theo is really giving a run for our money here. Like, does Belgium? Does Belgium? Anyone? Alright. Wow. Okay, let's take a look at this game 3 of the challenge of round 1. We are ready to be seated and ready to get up if it's really excited as well, because these players have now know a lot more about each other's teams, and the leads are the same on Theo's side. And while Nick has changed his mind and going for the Urshifu and the Kyogre here. So, being in this position, Kyogre is still able to deal a decent amount of damage. It will be slower than both of these Pokemon, most likely, and being hit by damage is not the most fun of things, of course, for Kyogre. So, opting to switch out to the Serena, actually, while the K1 is being set up by the Tornadoes here. As the close combat is going into that Serena slot, Serena will be able to hang on just for a little bit. As, the special defense and defense drop will make sure this Urshifu takes damage a little bit less fine. A Surging Strike is barely getting that KO in the rain. How beefy is that? That is incredibly beefy. But that is a Tornadus that has been dealt with at the very least. So, turn 1, 1 Pokemon down on Theo's end, and 4 still left on Nick's side. But of course, in return, we have an Urshifu that's locked into one move, have the Serena that has the option to click another thing, but now a double up onto the Urshifu could very well just happen, as well as we can have the Acid Barrage plus another move to try and deal with this Urshifu. Because try and think here, we do have the Roaring Moon in the back. Roaring Moon in the back is going to be slower. Of course, you can try and switch it in onto the Acid Barrage, but switching in on CC is not the way to go at all. So this is actually looking really rough for Nick here, position-wise. Would you rather have had the... I think you would have liked the Origin Pulse. As yeah, we see a lot of damage, of course, happening right now with this Astral Barrage. And now the next thing to happen is a boost to its special attack on the Calyrex. While this Urshifu is now able to close combat, it is still on its sash, so Roaring Moon can come in. It is not necessarily going to be faster than the Urshifu, because it is +2 in Tailwind, of course. As Kyogre is the Pokemon on the left slot. Kyogre should be able to survive at least one move from the Skyrex still, but it is still a very scary thing to come up against. Don't want to lose your typing of Roaring Moon, but PC plus Acid Barrage seems super safe to me. You're able to deal at least with one Pokemon, and that's the thing, of course, you want to deal with one Pokemon at the very least. Even the Roaring Moon protects, there's one, I believe there's one more turn of Tailwind, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's one more turn of Tailwind after this as well, so it is not over yet, but it is seemingly a very hard board position, I find. We do have that Terra right now. Theo going for that Terra as well. Is going to be onto that Urshifu, going for that Terra Stellar, trying to make sure that whatever damage it's getting is going to be a lot. So let's take a look at the damage calcs. It's looking like it's going to hurt a lot, as this of course the Roaring Moon itself is going for that Terra, taking back onto the skies 3 times. Third time's the charm. It is yet again a flying type. Acrobatics is boosted. It is now no resisting fighting type moves, but is now weak to Side Shock, for example. As Side Shock will be able to just kill it, and Terra Stellar close combat will go into that Kyogre slot, and that is boosted 120 base power by the Urshifu. No protects. You're not safe from the Urshifu whatsoever, as now it will be absolutely devastating to take this move here, as the close combat is going right into the Kyogre slot, and Kyogre survives it with 2 HP. But at what cost? Kyogre not really having a lot of other options here, as it is going for the Orange Impulse inside the rain, and both Pokemon survive because, of course, Urshifu is that Sash, and the Calyrex is the natural decent special defense nature, and that is the game. Very well played here, and a very good pin there by Theo. Well done. Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here with our challenge. We've got Thomas Maas and Christoph Willems on stream. Thomas Maas joining us for the first time here today. Very excited to see him on stream for the first time, I believe. Yes, on stream for the first time. So we have had everyone on stream at least once today. Let's go! But Thomas is playing Zamazenta, and not any Zamazenta. It is the Iron Defense Body Press Zamazenta. Something that Terrapagos really doesn't like to see. As Rillaboom is the Rillaboom Chin Pao as well, with Sacred Sword as well. So another fighting stab. And then we have Milotic with Haze, making sure that even if the Terrapagos goes for Calm Minds, you're able at least to get rid of those boosts. You've got Life Dew as well to heal yourself. Yeah. And then, of course, Grinsnaw with the screens as well. And as the last choice is Entei with Secret Fire, Iron Head, XP Speed, and Crunch. So let's take a look at what these players are bringing. And let's take a look at how they will play this matchup against each other. Terrapagos, of course, interesting because, of course, it it has a lot of different things next to it, being able to support it just as well. We have seen a lot of Terrapagos teams just opting to not use a Terrapagos if there's a Zamazenta onto the opposing team. But we are actually seeing the Zamazenta immediately onto the field, as well as Urshifu and the Overpomp are flame. So critical hits is the name of the game, as this Grimmsnarl is on the field wanting to set up any sort of screens right now, as it desperately wants to just as well. It is also Citrus Berry Grimmsnarl, so these screens are not willing to stay here for a long time, but at the very least you're able to set up a screen. You're able to make sure that you're able to Thunder Wave a Pokemon or two for this situation, as the Para Dragon Zamazenta is coming out. I was forgetting to record it, so welcome players. This is Christoph Williams versus Thomas Maas. We have the first turn being played out. Is the Overpomp going for the Ivy counter here onto the Zamazenta? Not really affecting him all that much, as the Zamazenta is just able to go for the air defense, of course. As Terra Dragon is able to resist the Surging Strikes and the Ivy Gush, but interesting speed stat. The Zamazenta is faster than the is slower than the Overpomp, but faster than the Urshifu. But we have the switch up to the Fluttermane, of course, being able to hit the Zamazenta for super effective damage, or at least with a strong Moonblast, as long as you're able to deal with this Grimmsnarl right now. Urshifu is going for the protect here, trying to make sure it's safe for at least one turn. Grimmsnarl going for the Thunder Wave, so immediately that Fluttermane is no longer the fastest thing on the field, as this Zamazenta might just be faster than the. But something is in a weird speed pop. It's not full speed, but it seems decently fast speed. It's hard to. But now with +2 defense for thanks to Iron defense, Body Press is absolutely devastating attack, of course. We have the light screen coming up from the Grimmsnarl itself. Body Press into the Urshifu, of course, being able to take that at least for another turn, because thanks to that focus edge, it stays hanging on. Turning strikes into the Zamazenta, going for as much damage as possible. The Fluttermane also unprotected, so hopefully if it is able to move, it will be able to Moonblast the Zamazenta for quite a bit of damage here. Just as well, Light Screen has been put up, so it is taking less already. But the Fluttermane can't move! Its spine is broken. Unfortunately for Christoph in that regard, Urshifu is now able to still deal some decent damage. But it was mainly that Fluttermane that you really wanted to deal at least some super effective damage onto the Zamazenta, because the main important thing versus the Zamazenta is trying to get it down low enough so that you might be able to deal with it later. Urshifu is being switched out, wanting to opt to use it for a late time. Incineroar is the Pokemon of choice, with trying to make sure that the Zamazenta attack stat gets lowered as well. Heavy Slam is still going to be able to KO the Fluttermane, I believe, as Fluttermane is going for that Terra Fairy right now. So let's take a look if this Terra Fairy, if this Fluttermane is able to Moonblast through this Light Screen and through this Paralysis. This Heavy Slam into the Fluttermane. Is Fluttermane bulky enough? It is bulky enough to survive this. Fluttermane is able to move. It is going for that Moonblast here onto the Zamazenta. Is it enough for the kill? It is not enough just yet, as you saw, it's going for that Spitter Break into that Incineroar slot and trying to make sure that that at least gets chipped down just a little bit. But this is a lot of energy being invested into this Zamazenta. Well, we already know that Christoph still has Overpomp in the back as well, so these Pokemon will have to be able to deal with all of it. So looking at all the options at hand here, what will the next turn bring is a little bit of an awkward one, because yeah, of course the Terrapagos is not on the field, but as soon as you're able to deal with the Zamazenta, what is the next option to do? Urshifu is the Pokemon of choice being switched in. Zamazenta go for the protect, expecting the fake out there, So let's take a look if the Faker was actually coming. Fluttermane going for protect. Trying to make sure to stay safe from this Grimmsnarl itself. As now Spirit Break is not going to work either. But the Zamazenta could just be is going to be just in range of Surging Strikes and Moonblast. So right now there's the choice to be made if the Fluttermane is going to para or not. Now Thunderwave onto the Urshifu, going for that. Yellow is the name of the game. And that is the color that is Urshifu and this Fluttermane is. Let's take a look if they get to be paralyzed. Zamazenta going for the heavy slam, killing the Fluttermane. And now it's only the Urshifu. Urshifu, are you able to move this turn? Because it is quite important right now that you're able to Surging Strike this Zamazenta to KO it at the very least. Surging Strike is coming out, and that is looking like it's going to barely KO it right here, as it is just enough to KO the Zamazenta. This was a ginormous war of attrition, and the Zamazenta has been felt, but at what cost? Your Fluttermane is gone, the Urshifu is at 1 HP and paralyzed, it broke his spine, and you only have your Ogerpon left. Is your Ogerpon enough to deal with the rest of these Pokemon, is the question. Everything. Okay, we have the switch. It is going to that Chimpao. Chimpao, of course, being able to, honestly, like a bunch, being able to deal with the Urshifu guaranteed. But then there's also still that Ogerpon Fire that you have to get to kind of. Because Ice Crash will deal decent amount of damage to it as well. But that is just like the position that you're taking. Chimpao is going for that protect here. To stay safe. Aqua Jet is coming out. Just breaking the sash on Chimpao. Honestly, good play there. As Grimmsnarl is just spreading the yellow around. It's just making sure that everyone has a nice yellow color. This is, of course, the yellow color is, of course, a reference to Gen 5, where all your Pokemon would turn the color of the status that you've given. The light screen has also worn off. And this Grimmsnarl is still on the field. What's it doing? What's it doing here? Like, it's just paralyzing left and right, and like being able to Spirit Break at the very least. Chimpao is able to move, is able to potentially deal massive amount of damage. Urshifu is being retreated here into that Incineroar, trying to lower at least the attack output from this Chimpao. The Dividend is affecting the Chimpao's attack stat. Acid Crash will do less now as well. Let's see if we get a flinch, because that is also a strategy. Ivy Cudgel is just coming out and dealing with the Chimpao, and that Chimpao is gone. With a critical hit on top. As this is suddenly turning into Christopher's favor, as we are observing. Spirit Break into the Incineroar, not going to do all that much, as this is already at -2, and also taking Rocky Helmet damage just as well. Entei is now the last Pokemon that's being switched in, and of course Entei is that choice band. The Pokemon fan, how do you get that? That's an idea. I didn't know you get that. The Pokemon fan Entei is able, of course, to hit quite hard actually on any Pokemon here. As Stomping Tantrum, it needs to lock itself into one move. I believe Stomping Tantrum is the move of choice. Paralyzed by Ogerpon is paralyzed, so is not able to do anything right now. Entei is still able to move here. Sacred Fire coming out, logging himself into Sacred Fire, and the Ogerpon is just down and out for the count. Entei has locked himself into that. We have the knockoff from the Entei. I do believe you did not want to knock off that Entei right now, because now it is able to switch moves, as this Urshifu is coming in and could have at least gotten some budget damage for the before the rest of the damage was coming in. But now, because you knocked it off, it is able to switch out moves. Punish Up would have maybe been nicer, than the Entei would have been at -1. Yeah. Extreme speed from the Entei going into not really affecting it all that much. Another knockoff. Next now, going for the Spirit Break again onto the Incineroar. Incineroar really not minding this. Like, this is just all Rocky Helmet chip that he's getting. As this Incineroar is seemingly the only Pokemon that will have to deal with everything right now. Another protect from Christophe. Amazingly, this is really working out for him right now. Extreme speed not affecting the Urshifu, meaning the Incineroar gets another round of a knockoff in. Of course, now 2, 3 more. This could very well be the end of the Incineroar. I made a rhyme. As the Rocky Helmet is slowly chipping down this Grimmsnarl, but it's now getting his Citrus Berry, healing itself just a little bit. As this endgame has to become quite interesting, honestly, to say the least. It is just another extreme speed. Urshifu no longer going for the protect here. Extreme speed did work out, so that means no stopping tantrum. Either knock off again onto the Entei. And I do believe the next one might be enough for the KO, but Entei still has some oomph in him, as it is able to go for the stomping tantrum. Sacred Fire is also a move. Oh wait, no, something tantrum. Crunch, 3 speed, Iron Head, Sacred Fire. Sacred Fire is his best move to hit this way. That is actually kind of funny. Incineroar still hanging on, even if it is by a bit. The Reflect has finally worn off, but at what cost? The Reflect can just be set up again. Entei needs one more hit. Make sure this Incineroar is gone. Oh my god, this is not max PP. Sacred Fire hitting again, not missing. Incineroar down for the count. And that was a very close match here. Versus Zamazenta and Terrapagos. And Zamazenta being the first one to fall down on 2 months side, and Terrapagos not even appearing. Alright, but very exciting. So, what are the adaptations that I can see? I honestly think Christophe needs to focus a little bit less on the Zamazenta. Or maybe go for Incineroar and Terra it to Ghost type. So it can go for Will-O-Wisp, for example, onto the Zamazenta immediately. KO the Grim. I do believe that the Grim is able to have some longevity, because you would like to go for Surging Strikes onto it, even through screens. It does a lot. Unfortunately, this Grimmsnarl is Citrus Berry, so it is able to heal in the middle back again from those Surging Strikes. Yeah, it's true. Surging Cudgel could just very well be the way to do it as well. But I do believe if you have Terra Ghost Incineroar versus Zamazenta, you are the winner in the end game there. Certainly because you're Rocky Helmet Incineroar as well. So looking at the options, you also want to try, when you get paralyzed, not get parried. Don't get fully parried, just don't do it. Both players are selecting their moves here. Thomas is feeling the same strategy, it seems, as not really minding it either, because like Boom keeping for longevity potentially. Pao didn't really provide as much as he would have wanted, so opting to switch it out back to the Entei. So let's take a look at what these players are doing and bringing, because it is game 2 of round 2 of this Boom challenge. Big applause, it's time for some sauce. That's the only word I could come up with that rhymed. Don't blame me. Dummy? Blame me? Alright, we have the leads. It is 2 fire types in the lead. It is Pokémon and the Incineroar. While it is the of course the Zamazenta and the Grimmsnarl. A tale as old as time, setting up the screens, yeah, intimidate left and right. Alright, but now that does mean that this Incineroar needs to make quick work right now of a potential fake out, and the Overpong could just go for an IV Cut home to Grimmsnarl. You don't really mind it, just do it. Fake out. That's all. You honk me, shushu meat. But yeah, being in this position, a fake out plus just an IV Guzzle into the Grimmsnarl could prove to be quite effective dealing with the Grimmsnarl Ray for a bit. But Tumon's already ripping off that Terra. Let's take a look what it is. It is Terra Dragon, of course, being able to resist anything that Pokemon might be throwing out at it. Knockoff also not really working. Incineroar going for fake out. Honestly, decent damage. Grimmsnarl going for the Thunder Wave, meaning this, if this Ogerpon is able to move, it could do a lot of damage. Someone said that flinch. Ogerpon can't move, it's fine. Oh, someone fix it, it's fine. As okay, now within this position, I would just try Incineroar. Okay, there's a line of play that of course Thomas can do, which is paralyze himself. Make sure that he can't be burned. That is a play that he could very much do. Incineroar locking in with Terra Ghost right now, making sure you have one full immunity to this body pressing Zamazenta. Zamazenta actually opting to protect right now. Like this, Grimmsnarl is going for the reflect, trying to make sure that his defenses are a bit higher. Bullets not going to affect these Zamazenta. So, heavy cudgel to Grimmsnarl, not doing all that much. We're fine. Yeah, but with that protect now, a potential switch could be coming from Thomas if he also wants to really. Honestly, in this kind of team, instead of my Milotic, you could have put Cresselia with healing. Zamazenta is the Pokemon being switched out right now. So if a Willow is coming in, it is going to be that Entei, of course, being immune to any sort of burn right now and being hit with its pressure. It's pressure Entei. It's pressure Entei. It's pressure Entei, not in a focus, so that is Entei you can fake out and intimidate. As a Fluttermane is being able to switch it. He definitely did not read that. As the Incineroar might be paralyzed, and it's paralyzed again. Incineroar is two for two right now. Spread the yellow, get some hello. get some yellow, feeling mellow. As now Fluttermane is very much the prime target for another Thunder Wave here right now. Fluttermane is being switched out here. The Ogerpon is the Pokemon of choice here. This is still gonna hurt if there's a Sacred Fire incoming. Grimmsnarl go for the Thunder Wave yet again. Sacred Fire actually going into the Incineroar slot, doing mighty damage. And it can't move again. Yeah, this is the power, of course, of the yellow color. This makes you want to quit games, I'll be real. If this was a global challenge, I would have probably forfeited right now. Oh, it's Christoph, of course. But this is seemingly very hard to have a switch in now. Because Fire just does a lot, and it's not max PP either, so like Christoph doesn't know, but very well. Incineroar is the one switching out, not wanting to get hit by another Sacred Fire here. Is going to be the Urshifu. Urshifu resisting the Sacred Fire, but being burned would suck a lot, so please, Urshifu, don't get burned. It didn't get burned, but Ogerpon got paralyzed again. Christoph is better off switching his Pokemon all the time, because like his Pokemon aren't moving. As Entei and Zamazenta are on the field, we already know that Zamazenta is faster than the Urshifu. As it was slower than the Ogerpon, but faster than the Urshifu from last time. Entei is switching out because it doesn't have that much PP. As Available is the Pokemon of choice being switched in right now. As Urshifu and the Ogerpon are the Pokemon that have to deal here. So hopefully they're able to do something. The Fluttermane is the Pokemon of choice being switched in. It's not paralyzed yet. It is faster than the Zamazenta. Buttercrest going into the Urshifu. It's not enough for the KO because it didn't get the boost. Surging Strike's not going to be enough for the Rillaboom either. Doing decent amount of damage at least. But now there's a prime target to get Moonblasted, but Rillaboom could just as well adapt. I go for the Wood Hammer here, so this is a read-based plays right now because Kristoff has not had that many chances to attack due to the paralyzers. So 3 paralyzers, making sure that it keeps making it a bit harder for Kristoff time and time again. So Urshifu is the one retreating. Going into that Incineroar. Is Incineroar enough to deal with this damage that the Rillaboom can output, of course? Zamazenta, of course, now being lower in the attack pop as the Fluttermane is actually protecting here. Trying to scout out if the Zamazenta is going for protect as well, and it is! So this is a prime moment right now for Kristoff being able to fake out, plus Moonblast that left slot here on the Zamazenta side, for example. Entei could switch in, but Entei does only have Iron Head or Crunch really to hit this Fluttermane after the 2 last super types are going to be. So this is still good positioning wise for Kristoff. Like, still having a shot here. The Fluttermane is very important here to be able to be used right now. So let's take a look. The Zamazenta is opting to switch out. It is of course not wanting to get hit by this Moonblast. It is going to be that Entei being able to resist any sort of Moonblast left and right. Pressure, it's making sure that the Moonblast PP gets a little bit lowered as well as a potential special attack drop. It does get it, not very useful. Wood Hammer coming out into the Incineroar isn't enough to kill. Incineroar is still hanging on, barely by a thread right now. Incineroar is like one of the most important Pokemon right now, and the parting shot is very good there. Being able to reposition your Incineroar and making sure that you're able to get an Intimidate off yet again at a later stage or time. Alright, now the switch in is that Ogerpon. Ogerpon being able to deal with the Rillaboom Stomp quite effectively. Entei, of course, a little bit more difficult, but at the very least, you're able to hit it if should you want to. We saw that the Sacred Fight was able to KO the Ogerpon earlier from full. I believe that was with Chimpao on the field, though. So I do believe that Ogerpon could very well survive one move at the very least. I do hope. I hope for Kristoff that at least his Ogerpon starts moving around this time. Final surgeries are not that expensive anymore. So, like we got the tools, we got the magic. You just walk. As Ogerpon, we have the Thunder Wave. Kristoff lured, taking a book out of Thomas's page right now. Entei is paralyzed and might be unable to move. Potentially, Rillaboom is suddenly the fastest Pokemon after Fluttermane on the field. That is a funny sight to see. As the next Pokemon coming in will be that. Don't spoil it. Yes. Gonna be that Grimmsnarl. And Grimmsnarl, of course, would not like to take this Ivy Cudgel. Ivy Cudgel is coming out. Isn't enough to kill this Grimmsnarl. It is not enough, and the Grimmsnarl will be eating its berry right now. So it's very nice. A little break time as some grass, a berry, and this Grimmsnarl is almost back at full. Sacred Fighter coming out, and that will be the end of Fluttermane suddenly. Why is it not working for Kristoff when he wants to get spread out some yellow color, honestly? Very rough right now, so let's take a look at what Kristoff still has here as options. It is Urshifu coming in. Urshifu is also quite low, as well as the Incineroar that's in the back.
I don't have enough time alone. I just need enough.
Yeah, Kristoff just sees the writing on the wall and decides to forfeit this game. And that is GG, well played, Thomas. Alright. Youpity doopity doo. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at round 3. We have Kumas Mas, who today has been popping off in this challenge right now. He's 2-0 right now versus Nick Fanan, who's 1-1, I believe, because he lost the first one. Yes, he did lose the first one. But Kumas has been doing exemplary together with Theo, who's also 2-0 right now. So Theo getting his challenge points here, and of course Thomas might be getting his challenge point for first place as well. But matchup wise, we are looking at Zamazenta Dragon, so it is able to make sure it is able to resist any sort of strong water type boost from the Mushroom Rap Strike and Kyogre, which tend to do it quite a lot of times. And then, of course, Chimpao being able to deal with any sort of Grass Terra or even Landorus, which it doesn't Terra, Roaring Moon, Serena, and even the Amoonguss. So, being in this position, you do have, there's a few things you have to consider. So I am looking forward to seeing what will be brought here into this matchup, because it is one of those times where it is not like what you would call a standard Zamazenta team, because you tend to have Wyguard and everything. But this time around, we have Iron Defense, Body Press. So let's take a look at how Nick adapts to this, because Nick has played them before and has won in the cup. So let's take a look how this will go in Game 2. Game 2, we have the Amoonguss and a Kyogre lead, with the Grinstal and the Rillaboom being on the other side. So Spore not only really affecting the Grinstal right now. Grinstal is not running the Misty Trade, which some Grinstals do to just get rid of, making sure the Pokemon Boom gets status. But within this position, you are able to just make sure you're trying to stay safe, really. High horsepower not doing all that much, the movements of course, but you are able to U-turn and reposition yourself to, for example, after this Kyogre has attack as well, the Chimpao, for example, has a switch out, is seemingly to be the Serena itself. Serena trying to make sure to catch this Rillaboom lacking, as a light screen is making sure that the special side, all the Pokemon on Thomas' side will stay a little bit safer. U-turn here, making sure that we're able to see a potential switch in from another Pokemon. It is going to be that Chimpao this time. Chimpao making sure that it is able to attack both of these grass types right now. As the Spore is coming out, make sure that the Grinstal is put to sleep. Grinstal asleep and Chimpao on the field. Chimpao has 2 potential targets to go for the Icicle Crash. Amoonguss does not have a protect move, while Serena has. There could just very well be a switch out to the Kyogre just as well, or even the Urshifu. It is all dependent on what the players are expecting to happen. We are seeing the Rillaboom being switched in again and around, while the Grinstal is of course gonna have to take 1 turn of sleep. We have the Terra activation this time around onto the Amoonguss. Amoonguss going for the Terra Fire. This is the first time we're seeing Terra Fire Amoonguss today. But with that, you are losing your resist to the Body Press. As the Rage Powder is coming out from the Amoonguss, not really affecting right now onto this Chimpao. Power Wave coming out onto the Rillaboom, doing quite a bit of damage there, as the Rillaboom is eating itself thanks to its Grassy Terrain just a little bit, and the Grinstal has taken his first mandatory turn of sleep. Now the options are dwindling, I must say, because of course you want to keep Terra on a specific Pokemon. You don't want to get bored with like Rillaboom. Do you hard switch? Do you not hard switch? These are like a lot of things to consider, really, as right now Nick has to like outplay his opponent right now, his position, because you're not trying to outstall all the screens right now, but you're making sure if you're getting rid of one piece of the team, you're able to make sure that you are in a better position at the very least. Grinstal is the one to switch out. Thomas has opted to switch that one out into the Zamazenta. 1 turn of sleep was enough. Zamazenta defense will be raised as the power from Serena is coming out onto the Riddle Boom, not KOing it just yet. As the high horsepower is coming out into that Amoonguss slot, doing quite decent damage there. But in return, that is a KO onto the Riddle Boom. More importantly, Amoonguss did not go for Rage Powder. So what is it going for? It is going for the Pollen Puff onto the Zamazenta. Of course, not doing all that much damage and will be healed by some nice healing grass. Next Pokemon to switch in will be quite an important one to see what the potential here is, because Zamazenta is able to, of course, body press either of these Pokemon for a lot of damage, but you do have to fear this rocky helmet on Amoonguss. We already are aware that Kyogre is a Pokemon that is in the back, but what is the other Pokemon in the back is also a very good question. As we have the Serena going for the Protect, the Chimpao also going for Protect. Let's see what the Zamazenta is doing. Zamazenta is actually going for the Iron Defense right now. So depending what this Amoonguss is doing for the Spore or for the Rage Powder is just the Spore onto the Zamazenta and will be falling asleep as well. Zamazenta has not taken one turn of sleep right now, and it is not liking the fact that Chimpao will have to try and deal some damage here. As the Chimpao will, of course, be redirected many times by this Amoonguss being able to make sure to keep the Serena safe for something like an Icicle Crash. While the Serena, honestly, just being able to deal the necessary damage to get the team in a better position, really. Serena is the one being switched out. This means that Kyogre is the one switching in right now with only 2 more turns of rain, or even 1, as it might be the end of rain in the following turn. Rage Powder is coming out from the Amoonguss. Icicle Crash will be doing some damage, but not all that much, as resisting Amoonguss defenses, and of course grassy terrain. The rain has stopped. Zamazenta taking its first turn of sleep, and it could very well just wake up in the following turn. So no rain, so all water type moves from the Kyogre are doing less damage. Body press from the Zamazenta could prove to be quite effective just as well. So it's toughy, I'm not gonna lie. It's not that easy to decide what to do here. We do have the Sacred Sword into the Amoonguss. Not a KO, but the Rocky Hammer will break its sash here on the Kyogre. Kyogre is able to go for the water spot. Non-resisted, of course, on the Zamazenta, doing 50% and KOing the Chimpao here. Does the Zamazenta wake up right now to KO this Amoonguss? Nope, it is staying asleep. It is this very sleepy doggo and deserves a little bit of a nap. But that means that Grinsnarl is on the field, and both Pokemon have taken only 1 turn of sleep just yet. And this is just, it's just awkward. Positioning is awkward, I'm not gonna lie. If the Zamazenta went for a body press to KO the Amoonguss a bit earlier, it could have proven to be quite effective, because the Amoonguss is just then gone, which is always a good thing. The Amoonguss is fairly annoying Pokemon, too hard to deal with it. Amoonguss is going for the Rage Powder. Water Spot is coming out, not affecting the Zamazenta, not KOing it just yet. And the Citrus Berry is healing this Grinsnarl. So the Zamazenta is slower than the Kyogre as well. Okay. And Zamazenta is taking another turn of sleep as well, and that is seemingly to be the end of the game. I don't see any way to come back from this, to be honest. Yeah, this is very hard, and seen writing on the wall, Thomas has conceded this first game. So it is time for game 2. Exercise hurts. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look if Nick is able to take a page out of Elias his book here, because you do need to be able to deal with this Among Us almost immediately, and that is the way to deal with that immediately is that Chimpao or even Entei, but Entei a little bit less because of course you tend to be inside of range versus Nick's team, so fire will do less damage, so could very well not be a kill on anything really. There we go. Wish that was me. All right, let's take a look at these players right now. We are here in game 2 of our round 3. It is Roaring Moon and Kyogre from Nick's side, while on the other hand is Chimpao and the Milotic appearance. Time to like the video. Milotic is here. With a Drizzle, of course, as well. Milotic is interesting because it is carrying Live Dew to heal Pokemon, but it also has Icy Wind for some speed control together with Haze. But a nice Ice Wind could prove to be useful right now. Milotic has a nice typing, of course, as well. It is able to make sure that Ice Wind is just making sure that some Pokemon stay at speed stat. Chimpao really doesn't mind going to its focus edge, I feel, against Nick's team, because you just want to get kill or something. Acid Crash, for example, Roaring Moon. Or this is just a protect from Roaring Moon, actually, as Chimpao is going for the Ice Crash in there, meaning this Kyogre is free to move right now. And with Kyogre free to move, that is a solid, strong water spout to bring the Chimpao to its focus edge, as this Milotic is the next one to move, and that is going to be Icy Wind. Icy Wind will drop the speed of the Kyogre by 1 stage, while Roaring Moon will be able to still Tailwind and be give it +2 stages. So the Kyogre will very much likely be faster than the Chimp and the Milotic. Still, you could protect the Chimpao and just go for Icy Wind again, but no protects this time. It is Icy Wind coming out. It is Tailwind coming out, while the Water Spout is just pulling and coming out. Milotic not really having an answer for this, as the next move will most likely be the Icy Wind. Oh, it's Live Dew. Trying to heal itself up just a little bit to stay relevant enough to get some Ice Winds out. But now we have the next Pokemon being able to switch in from Thomas' side. Tailwind has been set up. This Kyogre already went for 2 Water Spouts, meaning it only has 6 left, you know? Like, what can you do with 6 Water Spouts at full health? Enough joking around. It is time to see what this Milotic is here for healing its partner Pokemon, and that is exactly what it's going to try to do. Unfortunately, the one thing that could kind of prevent that is things like Among Us really finding this. Like, switch out to his Amoongus and just switch out the road into this Amoongus and just be fine with whatever is happening here, because you're able to pour anything, even a +2, +3 iron defense for mine basically. We are seeing that the Rolling is going for the acrobatics onto Milotic. Milotic hang on by a thread as the water spout is coming out, and that is going to be enough to kill Milotic as well. Meaning only Zamazenta is on the field right now. Zamazenta is going to be moving though. Gonna move, body press, Body press is not enough for the KO just yet, but we do have that pesky little Rillaboom. Rillaboom will be able to at least heal Zamazenta for just a little bit and go do some things with priority, Grassy Glide. But as long as Nick has like the Amoongus in the back, I don't see a way for Thomas to really be able to get through it. Kyogre is the one being switched out, is Serena. Serena being switched in for any potential Grassy Glide. Because Rillaboom is not a fake out. And it's flying Rolling Boom, go for the acrobatics here. Just trying to make sure that Zamazenta is the only Pokemon on the field. It's just very viable. I like that, I like that. As it is acrobatics, no item, it is stab, it is gone. That is monkey gone, and only is Zamazenta left on the field. Gotta go for the body press, not doing all that much to the Rolling Boom. And now you have a triple axle arena and the Rolling Boom being able to acrobatics as well. Don't worry. It's just not looking big green. As acrobatics is coming out into the Zamazenta, not doing all that much damage, but still enough damage to Arena going for the taunt, trying to make sure that Zamazenta can iron defense either. Triple axle. Is very much over as Ice Beam Ogre Pond, triple axis arena, and no healing. Like, this is very much looking like it's J.O. Triple axle coming out into the Zamazenta spot, doing not that, like, it's doing decent enough damage so that it might be in range of 2 acrobatics from the Roaring Wound as a Heavy Slam going into that. But now the next one, if you connect all 3, this feels like this is the end. This is the end. The switch out from Roaring Moon to the Amoongus right now. So I'm guessing Serena is protected? No, okay, just triple axle again. Oh yeah, right. And that is a kill onto the Zamazenta. That is game. That means that Nick is our winner. Very well played there for that round. Very well. All right, fellas, with that, we are also concluding the stream because it's over. We've had 3 rounds of Swiss Cup, 3 rounds of Cup challenge. It's over. Go home. Like and subscribe. Love ya.